This video will show you how to replace the radiator on a Cadillac CTS. This will be located across the front of your engine compartment. Let's get into it. Okay friend, let's get started on our job. Now the first thing we need to mention is we will have to make our way under the front of the vehicle, so make sure you're in a safe area to do so. Aside from that, of course, we do want to make sure everything's cool to the touch. We never open the cooling system when it's hot. Let's start by making our way towards the driver's side rear of the engine compartment so we can remove our coolant cap. With that said, we're pressing down on the cap, we're turning it counterclockwise, and we'll lift up and away from our face. A thorough inspection of the cap, confirming it's not damaged in any way, especially the rubber seal. This looks good. We'll set it aside. Let's make our way under the front of the vehicle. Now we're making our way under the front of the vehicle. In this area, we can see our radiator. The radiator itself will not have a drain plug, so to drain our cooling system, we're going to dislodge our lower coolant hose from the radiator. You can see it right along here. Generally, you're going to find that you have a squeezable clamp. You'd want to squeeze the ears of the clamp together and then slide the clamp out of position, removing the hose from the bottom of the radiator. On my application, that clamp has been replaced. So I'm using an 8mm for my clamp. I'll be loosening this enough that I can slide the hose out of place. Now keep in mind, when we do remove this, coolant will come out of the coolant hose and that'll be heading forward. Coolant will come out of the radiator and that'll be heading rearward. We have a collection receptacle under this entire area so we can collect and recycle all fluid as necessary, and of course hand and eye protection at all times throughout this entire process. Now we'll start pulling this off of here. Coolant will make its way out. Just a little wiggle here. If your hose is stuck to the radiator, you want to be careful not to cause damage, but you could use a small hose pick to help break it free. Mine has come loose. This is a good sign. I'm going to carefully try to divert this coolant down into my collection receptacle. We'll let the coolant drain as long as you deem fit. Once the coolant's finished draining, we're making our way across the radiator. Now we can see one of our transmission cooler lines leading into the radiator. You're going to have a double-stage transmission line removal tool. Looks like this here. Let's line this up on here. Now we're going to have to press this in. We're listening for an audible click. Now we need to hold pressure on this. We're going to take hold of the line and attempt to pull it out and away. Now for this, you may find that you can twist to help break it free, or you may have to also pry. To pry, you can use some long nose pliers. I'm just pressing that in. Now we can slide out the line. Of course, a thorough inspection of our line here. This looks good. Making our way towards the passenger side, lower aspect of the radiator, we're heading towards where our line has a mounting point. There's a 10mm bolt here. Let's remove that bolt. Let's continue on heading towards the passenger side for our next line fitting. Same tool for that. Now as we make our way over here, the process would be the same as the other line. As you can tell, our radiator is broken, but you'd want to continue on using that same tool. Press it in, gently twist the line as necessary, and then dislodge it from that fitting. Just something I want to point out while we're still under this portion of the radiator, along either side of the radiator, you're going to find a mounting point. The fan will have to slide down into this area. Let's stay down along the bottom here, but make our way to the forward side of the radiator. Now you're going to find on either side of the radiator, we have mounting points for our AC condenser. Use a 10mm for each mounting bolt, holding it to the radiator. Now our hardware did break. That's okay. I'm replacing my radiator. I'm going to be replacing the hardware anyways. Just remove that bolt, give it a quick inspection. We'll replace it as necessary. I'm going over to the other side of the radiator next. After you've removed both pieces of hardware from the AC condenser, you can see that it does pull away from the radiator. Let's pause underneath the vehicle. We're going to make our way up inside the engine compartment next. Up along the front of the engine compartment. To remove the fan assembly from the radiator, we're going to have to do a little digging here. So we're going to remove the air inlet tube. Start up here. We're loosening the clamps just enough that we will be able to slide this out of place. We should be able to take hold of this and pull it away from the throttle body. Now we'll dislodge it from the upper air filter housing. Now at this point, we've dislodged this, but we have to have a look along the back side. Along the back side, we do have a small tube and a rubber hose leading to this. We're just lifting it up and off of here. Now we can remove this from the vehicle. You can see where the hose went onto. With that out of position, we can inspect the hose as well. It's not cracked or dry rotted. We have to dislodge the upper radiator hose from the radiator. We have a squeezable clamp. I'm going to be using some pliers. We'll squeeze this, pull the hose out of place, and of course a quick inspection. No cracks or damage. Set it aside. After setting that coolant tube aside, make your way straight under it. This is where we can see our electrical connector for one side of our fan assembly. You're going to have the same exact thing on the other side. It has a squeezable tab. Press it in and dislodge this. You also have a mounting point. There we are. A thorough inspection. No corrosion there. As far as this mounting point, I'm using an angled trim tool. You can use a flat blade screwdriver if necessary. Let's be careful not to damage the fan if possible. Just like that. Now once you have that broken free, have a look at this larger wiring harness. This presses into the side of the fan assembly. It's fairly difficult to see. Now as I attempt to pull this away, I can see that this is really just a wire tie down there. So I'm just going to break that wire tie so we can separate this wiring harness from that fan assembly. I'll apply some pressure here, a light tap with a hammer on the far end. There we are. As we make our way over to the other side of the fan and the radiator, we're going to have to remove the air filter housing. To be able to remove the air filter housing, we have to remove the engine cover. Along the top of the engine cover, we have our oil cap. We'll turn that counterclockwise. A quick inspection of our seal. Temporarily set that aside. Take hold of the engine cover. We'll lift it up and out of position. Reinstall your engine cap. On our air filter housing, we have our mass airflow sensor and our wiring connector. There's a squeezable tab on the rearward side. We'll squeeze it in, lift this up and out of place. No corrosion there. We'll hang that aside. Along the top rearward side, we have a hose going across this area. Just pull it out of place. Now you're going to find that you have 3 10mm headed mounting bolts. There's one here, and then there's 2 along the forward side. Let's remove all of these. Now we will want to make sure that this coolant hose is out of the way. We'll take hold of the housing and we'll have to roll it up and out of position. There we are. Go ahead and set that aside. So now we're coming down along the fan assembly. We're going to disconnect our fan motor. Same process to the other side, just press that in, pull this out of place. And then on this side we have a wire tie as well. Now we do have an AC line attached to our fan assembly. We're going to use a Phillips head to remove the mounting screw. Obviously there's minimal space in this area. I'm going to be using a prying device. Just apply some pressure here. Okay. Up along the top of the fan and the radiator, we have 3 10mm headed mounting bolts. Now we'll take hold of the fan. We're going to lift it up and away from the lower mounting points, which I did point out to you while we were under the vehicle. Along the forward side of the top of the radiator, we're going to dislodge our coolant hose, squeezable clamp, use some pliers. Slide that off of there. No cracks or damage. We'll set that aside. We have a panel across the front. Take hold of that. We'll give it a wiggle, lift it up and off of here. Now we're going to dislodge our AC condenser from the radiator. On each side, you're going to have a 10mm bolt holding it in place. Go ahead and remove the pair. After you have both of those out, we should be able to dislodge that. Now on either side of the radiator, you're going to have an upper mounting point, which is held in place with 2 10mm bolts. Remove the mount from along the top of the radiator. Now, as you can tell, my rubber bushing did fall out of place, so I'm just going to press that back into the corresponding port on the bracket itself. If it did not fall off, you can just leave it in there. Okay, that's pressed in. Same thing on the other side of the radiator. Now, at this point, you should be able to move the radiator around, but on either side of the radiator, there's going to be an air deflector. The air deflector should be held to the radiator with some plastic push clips. Now, this one has already been separated. You can see one of the push clips there. Typically, all you would do is carefully make your way down along the side, find where the push clip is, and separate it by gently prying it out and away. Make your way all the way down on one side, make your way over to the other side, and repeat that exact same process. Once you have both of those separated, we're going to carefully start lifting up on the radiator. You're going to find on the driver's side you do have some AC lines that could hinder the ability of lifting this up and out. We'll just have to maneuver the radiator around so we can slide it out and away. There it is, friend. Let's have a close look along the bottom of our original radiator. On either side, you should have a mount. The mount may be attached to the radiator or it could still be in the body of the vehicle. If it's on the radiator, you need to transfer it to the body. So with that said, I'm going to pry this out of place. Just use my trim tool for that. You can use a flat blade screwdriver. I'm going to clean it up, give it a close inspection, and I'm going to remove the other one from the opposite side of the radiator. After that, we can transfer them over to the subframe ports. Prior to installing those into the subframe ports, we're looking down in this area. Go ahead and clean it down. We'll give it a thorough inspection, make sure there's no rot. This feels good. Let's go ahead and transfer over that bushing. Let's go ahead and transfer over that rubber mount. We'll make sure we have it in the proper orientation. Slide it down and in. Same process on the other side of the vehicle. Now it's time to install the brand new radiator. We're having a look down at the bottom. We can see our locating tabs. You have one on each side of the radiator and it slides into those rubber mounts. As we bring this down, be extremely careful for your cooling fins on the radiator and on the AC condenser. Do not cause any damage to these, otherwise they may not function properly. Press it down into the rubber mounts. After that, we should be able to pull this forward. Once you have that rested into place down along the bottom, we're continuing on along each side of the radiator. We have our plastic air diverter panels. Those would press into the radiator. Line them up, press them in all the way down. Do the same on both sides. Continuing on, we have to reattach our AC condenser to the radiator, so I'm doing that up along the top here while we're in this position. Start in each piece of hardware, and then we'll tighten them both. Okay, that one's bottomed out. Just a tiny bit further. We don't want to cause any damage, but it has to be secured to that radiator. Same process on the other side. Snug it up. We have the upper mounts for the radiator. Slide them onto the upper radiator post. Continue on to your two 10mm bolts for each side bracket. This is secure. I'm going to do the same on the other side. Now it's time to install our cooling fan. We'll carefully bring it down into position. We're paying attention down along the bottom of the radiator where the fan slides into. You may have to feel in this area, or you could use a small mirror if necessary. Just align the fan, slide it down on each side of the radiator. Okay, after it's latched in down along the bottom, double check each side, and we're up along the top next for our 3 pieces of hardware. Up along the top, let's line this up, start in all 3 pieces of hardware, and then we can snug them up. After you have them all started in, we can snug them up. Bottomed out, just a tiny bit further. Repeat the process for all others. Go ahead and snug them up. Along the driver's side of the fan assembly, we'll attach our mounting bolts, which holds our AC line in place. Just a small Phillips head for that. Okay, bottomed out. Just a tiny bit further. Keep in mind it is only screwing into plastic. Make sure it's secured in place. It's time to reconnect the electrical connector for our fan assembly. Press it in, listen for a click from that. We're going to secure our wiring harness. I'm going to be using a wire tie. Make sure that that's secured in a way that it cannot get damaged. If you're using a wire tie, just go ahead and trim off any excess. We're going over to the other side of the fan assembly next. Over on the other side of the fan, we have to reattach our electrical connector. Just line it up, press it on there. Audible click. Now we're going to secure the wiring harness. I'm going to be using a wire tie for each one of my 2 wiring harnesses. I'm going to attach them to my fan assembly. Make sure that wiring's secured in place. And now I'm just going to make sure it's not anywhere near the fan blade, of course. We'll push it over. Obviously, there's still more to be done up in this area, but for now, I'm going to make my way safely under the front of the vehicle. Now I'm underneath the front of the vehicle. Let's start by attaching our AC condenser to the lower portion of the radiator. We have our 2 10mm headed mounting bolts. Start them in, snug them up. Bottomed out, just a tiny bit further. Same on the other side. Bottomed out, and it's secure. Along the rearward side of the radiator, we're going to reconnect our transmission cooler line. Line it up, press it in until you hear an audible click. Attempt to slide it out. It should not slide out of position. So now we're pressing in on the transmission cooler line. You want to try to press pretty hard, and we're listening for an audible click from that. It needs to be secured. Take hold of the line, attempt to remove it. It should not slide out of place. Now we have to secure the line to the bottom of the radiator. We're using our 10mm bolt for our bracket. Bottomed out, and it is secured. Let's continue on down the line to the next tranny cooler line. We'll line this up, press it in. Audible click. It does not slide out of place. Let's reattach our lower radiator hose. I'm going to get my clamp onto the hose so it's ready here. Slide it all the way on. Now we'll get our clamp in position. Make sure we can see hose on both sides and tighten the clamp. Here we go. Attempt to slide the hose out of position. It should not move. And as I mentioned, you need to be able to see hose on both sides of that clamp. Clean any mess in this area, and one more inspection, we'll make our way out from under the vehicle. Back up in the engine compartment, let's attach our upper radiator hose to the top of the radiator. We'll line it up. This has a squeezable clamp, so I'm going to squeeze on those ears. We'll slide the hose into position. Now as I slide this on, you can see that I'm not fully in place. If I was to leave it like this, the pressure from inside of the cooling system might potentially make this hose come off while you're driving down the road. Double check, make sure it's in the proper placement, and you can see hose on both sides of the clamp. And it's secure. Along the driver's side front, install your air filter housing. Once you have it in place, we have to align all 3 of our mounting bolt ports, 2 across the front, 1 along the back side there. We'll just make sure this plastic is in the proper placement so we can access that bolt hole. Three mounting bolts. While holding pressure, pulling it towards the driver's side fender, go ahead and tighten that hardware. Let's get our coolant tubes in place. Slide that over there. We have our air inlet tube. Let's get this in position. We're pressing it onto the throttle body as far as possible. While holding pressure, tighten your 8mm headed clamp. Slide that on as far as possible as well. Tighten the 8mm headed clamp. Make sure you have both of those areas secured so you do not have any dirty or unmetered air making its way into the engine. Now, of course, we do have a tube along the back side of this, but since I'm right here now, I'm just going to attach the mass airflow sensor electrical connector first. Line it up, press it down on there. Audible click, and it's secured. Now it's time for the tube along the back side of the inlet. Line that up, press it on there. Just make sure that's secured as well. We have our small protective cover going across the front. We're going to slide it over each one of our 2 brackets, one on each side of the vehicle. Coolant tube along the front of the radiator. Squeeze the clamp, slide it into position. Hose on both sides, and it's secure. Remove your engine oil cap. Reinstall your engine cover. Now we're going to install the cover. Looking along the top of the intake plenum, you have several locating studs. Just go ahead and line this up. We'll press it down and into position. As we bring this into position, when you do align it with those studs, we also need to make sure that our port is aligned for the oil fill. Just go ahead and pivot that as necessary. Once you feel as though you have it properly aligned, tap it down along all 4 corners. Make sure that's secured in place. Continue on with your oil cap. Now it's time to fill that cooling system. We're along the driver's side rear of the engine compartment next to the master cylinder. When we go to fill the cooling system, you're going to find along the inboard side of the reservoir, there's a small line. That's the full cold line. So we're going to add the manufacturer's specified coolant in this area. I like to use a funnel for this. We'll start adding. We're attempting to get it up to that line. Now, as you fill this, you may find that the coolant continuously goes down and air bubbles make their way up. That's what we want. Once you have it up to the full cold line and it stops going down, we can remove the funnel. We're going to reinstall the cap temporarily. Now, the next thing you need to do is make your way inside the passenger compartment. You're going to start the vehicle and let it run. It needs to get up to normal operating temperature. Once you hear your cooling fans turn on, typically that means that the thermostat would be opened up, coolant will be circulating throughout the entire cooling system, and it will remove any air from in the system. It's going to make its way into this reservoir. The coolant will make its way down as that happens. Open the system, top it off as necessary. Just keep in mind, once it does get hot, it could be under pressure. Be extremely careful at all times. Once you have topped it off, make sure that you reclose that cap and make sure it's tight. Now, after you've fully filled the cooling system, the next thing we have to do is top off our transmission fluid. We did disconnect those transmission cooler lines. With the vehicle running on a flat level surface, we have to make our way underneath the vehicle. We're looking next to the transmission pan. Now, from under the vehicle, we're looking for our transmission pan. Looking along the transmission housing, on the driver's side, we can see the fill plug for our transmission. You're going to be using a T45 Torx to remove this plug. Now, when you do this, you want to have the vehicle running at normal operating temperature on a flat surface. Once you do remove this plug, top it off with the manufacturer's specified fluid until you see a steady trickle of fluid making its way out. After that, use your T45 and tighten that fill plug. Clean any mess in this area. Okay, friend, we finished the installation of our vehicle's radiator. Go ahead and close the hood and take your vehicle for a road test. Thanks for watching.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.